But I'm kind of having this flame war with Monkey right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doubts the new Ghostbusters movie is going to be anything other than woke material. And I'm like cautiously optimistic because I guess the argument is, kids coming in and saving the day and being smarter than the adults and et cetera is bad for a rebooted franchise or whatever. And I just kind of like, well, I mean, if it's like Goonies, if it's like Monster Squad, if it's like War Games, you can have kids sort of take the lead and still have it be entertaining and, and be fun enough for adults. It's not necessarily a death knell. Now, if the kids come in and it's like the wisdom of 9-year-olds guide the parents to enlightenment or something, then yeah, okay. Maybe a bit too much. But anyway, did you see the preview?
Yeah, I watched it earlier today.
Are you a fan of the original?
I think I only seen the first one all the way through, and
that's really all you need to see. Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. I didn't hate it.
All right. And it's Tuesday. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lords of the Night. With me, as always, is the Lord of Pennies, Satsu 2 cents.
What up, dope?
And I'm your host, Scribe, the Lord of Punishment. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well today on this wonderful Tuesday. Tubular Tuesday, I guess. I don't know. In the background, you can see the Rat Pack. Just because, I don't know, I was short on ideas for a theme for today, and I was thinking about. I was putting together the thumbnail for the TEDx coming up with Sinatra this week, and I was like, okay, I got that done. Now what am I going to do for the show? And I had Sinatra on the mind, and I was like, oh, what about the Rat Pack? Did I ever do the Rat Pack? I don't think so. If I did, I don't remember. So, anyway, there you go. You like the Rat Pack?
Should I make Scribe feel happy, or should I crush his dreams by telling him I have no
honestly,
idea?
I don't care. It is a relic from long before my day. I'm not like my sister, though. My sister, like when they did that, and this is eons ago, of course, but when the Rat Pack movie came out, which was like this HBO thing, it had Ray Liotta was playing Sinatra, and Don Cheadle was Sammy Davis Jr. She was a huge fan of that. And the Temptations. I remember that was the two things she was big on.
Love the Temptations.
Yeah, the Temptations movie, she was a huge fan of it. I think, was it the Rat Pack? Maybe I'm mixing up her fandom for the Temptations and the Rat. Either way, whatever. I saw the Rat Pack movie. It was all right. Anyway, how are you, Satsu?
Pretty good. That's a lie, but I'm going to tell it anyway.
Okay. For myself, it was a busy work day. I'm the project I'm working on that needs to be done by the end of the month, which is Friday, unless something, knock wood, goes terribly wrong, I'll be done with tomorrow. Hopefully relatively early tomorrow, which means that the rest of the week will just be the normal month end, getting all the paperwork and stuff done and kind of normal. Otherwise, it's been a busy couple of days with a lot of, and over the weekend too, which wasn't fun. But otherwise, just a programming note. I may not be doing a Sunday stream this week because I'll be hanging out with my sister Sunday morning. Now, the time at which she's going to show up is right in line with around the time I'd be ending a Sunday stream. It's like an hour and a half in. So I might still do one, but if I choose not to, I'll let you guys know. But on another programming note, again, Thursday, TED Excellence with Sinatra Says, and oh my God. So I don't want to give it away yet, but the TEDx that I was going to do with Sinatra, I found a better one today.
Oh.
And I mean, it's at least the title has the promise of something that Sinatra's interested in as a matter of course, and also looks, I don't know, the title gives me a mystery, and I love a mystery, right? But at the same time, it also, as I was trying to think of what am I going to do for the thumbnail, a notion came to me. it was like I rarely get my muse that just come down from on high and drop onto my head, but it really did. And it is the perfect pun on the thumbnail, both for being in relation to the title of the TEDx, but also in the arrangement of critics versus speaker. I can't be more specific than that. You'll know it when you see it. If you get it, if you don't get it, that's fine. I'm probably overselling it. I know I'm overselling it, but I was so pleased with myself. So look forward to that. I'll probably post it early tomorrow, or as far as early, I'll post it tomorrow in preparation for Thursday so that it can be shared around amongst the Sanute folk ahead of time. Anyway, Monkey Dick, Jim Jones, movies, video games, hit that like button if you have not already. And please share our stuff. Share it far wide, sideways, and otherwise. Let's see. What's a channel that I'd want to... if you guys like true crime and or kind of crimey type stuff, I don't know how to put it. Check out Coffee House Crime, I think it's called. Coffee House Crime. Sort of your... I don't want to say standard, but I mean, it's, another voice covering crimes and things. Usually a lot of more international stuff. Some of the more obscure things you may not have heard of. So yeah, Coffee House Crime, pretty good. Anything you'd like to promote, Satsu? Any channels you like? Any cat videos you like, or cooking channels? Or
there is a channel that I've been watching
a
lot lately, but I gotta remember what the fuck the name is.
Oh, well,
I always end up because I'll end up finding a video that I like, and then I'll watch a whole bunch of videos from that channel, but I'll never look and be like, oh, what channel is this? I just keep watching videos from that channel. And let me see if I can remember what it is. I'll bring it up.
Okay. All right. Well, until then, let's see. What shall we do first? Actually, let's do a potpourri. When was the last time we did a potpourri?
It's been a while.
Okay. Well, here are your categories. We have Walmart. We have masks. We have Liz Cheney. We have the Olympics. And we have the Olympics.
How about the Olympics?
Okay. Well, let's take a look first at... Well, we'll do both in a row then, because I think one relates to the other.
Okay. I thought of the channel.
What's the channel? What's it called?
It's called the Hugbees. Huggbees. And
Hugbees. Okay.
I don't know what the exact main content is on this channel, but it was one of his series that I came upon, and it's called How It's Actually Made. And he starts off very casual, and everything seems on the up and up as he explains to you in exactly how it's made does, how something is made, and then it goes completely fucking off the rails.
Okay.
It's hilarious. I was watching it before because I was very convinced. Like the first minute or so, you're just like, oh yeah, I'm about to find out how this is made, and then things get real fucking weird.
It's a bait and switch.
Yeah, it's hilarious though.
Thank you. This is Kyle. Hello, chat people in Lawton. Here's $10 for you to spend on Dr. Pepper and other things. I've been meaning to try out that relaxation thing with the needles. What's that called again?
Acupuncture.
Heroin.
Oh
yeah, no, but I'll think about it. Thank you, Kyle. Inside Simone Biles' shocking exit: Anatomy of an Olympics breakdown. Did you hear about this, Satsu?
No, I did. Oh well, didn't they say something about they didn't give her the points or something she was supposed to get? Or
I have somehow avoided all details of this story today, so I don't know. I only know that she left. I don't know the why. At first, the one thing I did hear on the radio when they were announcing it is that at that time they thought that she had experienced some kind of injury. So I didn't know, but I didn't know what the details was. So I'll be finding out right now. Simone Biles is the golden girl interrupted of the Tokyo Olympics. America's beloved gymnast announced Tuesday that she was withdrawing from the team competition following a, quote, stunning breakdown at the 2020 Olympic Games citing mental health issues. Didn't we just have that tennis player like refuse to do press or something because of mental health issues? I don't think that was the Olympics. Was that the French Open or something?
Who knows?
And not an injury. Okay, so so it wasn't an injury. Okay, that were exacerbated by the pressure to be head star at the Tokyo Game. Hasn't she been head star for years now?
I guess.
After her unexpected departure, the USA women's gymnastics team ended up taking home the silver medal without 24-year-old Biles, a 4-time Olympic gold medalist. Yeah, she's not a greenhorn to the Olympics. And she's been the head star at least 4 times. Why now? After a fraught performance at Tokyo prelims on Monday, Biles already seemed to be hinting at a struggle. She opened up on Instagram saying, quote, "I truly do feel like I have the weight of the world upon my shoulders at times," unquote. Okay. But why quit? I mean, if you don't think you're at your top game or whatever, you still have to be with your team, right? I mean, if they're not actually injured. She continued, quote, "I know I brush it off and make it seem like pressure doesn't affect me, but sometimes it's hard. Ha, 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 ha. The Olympics is no joke," unquote. Well, I didn't think it was a joke, and I don't at all imagine there's not pressure. And at a press conference after her teammate's silver medal win Tuesday, Biles hinted at a more serious weight on her shoulders. Quote, "Whenever you get in a high-stress situation, you kind of freak out. I have to focus on my mental health and not jeopardize my health and well-being," she said. Quote, "We have to protect our body and our mind. It just sucks when you're fighting with your own head," unquote.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I can understand it.
I mean, you know, I've struggled with anxiety, mental health issues for years. I've had many a friend who has had serious, like, debilitating mental health issues. So I don't lack empathy. What? Okay?
Yeah, just drop my tablet.
You shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I shouldn't do that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, so I can empathize with somebody like just being hit with something, but I mean, well, okay. And I can't read her mind, so maybe something's different now than the previous 4 times or whatever. She's won a gold medal, but
the way I'm seeing it is just like, I don't know, if you like, you haven't injured yourself, but you got a sprain and you're worried about it getting worse. I think her mental health is just, she's like, I'm feeling like shit right now, and I feel like if I go any further, it'll get significantly worse, you know?
I mean, okay. The gymnast said her main inspiration for focusing on her well-being was tennis ace Naomi Osaka. That's the one I was talking about, who shocked fans by pulling out of this year's French Open and skipping Wimbledon on the grounds of stress, triggered by the mandatory press conferences after each match. Okay, so it wasn't that she refused to do press conferences. The press conferences initiated her withdrawal. Okay. I got that story backwards. Yeah. Biles also follows in the footsteps of 23-time Olympian gold medalist Michael Phelps, who revealed in 2018 that he suffers from depression and crippling anxiety. Biles' path to Olympic glory has been a challenging one. Here is a look back at all the times Biles has been open about her mental health struggles, including her childhood experiences, living with ADHD, and the abuse she suffered at the hands of disgraced gymnast trainer Larry Nassar. There's part of me that, I mean, like I said, okay, sympathy for the mental health stuff, but if you knew you had this much of an albatross around your neck before going in, to leave your team hanging literally at the gate.
Yeah, but it kind of don't work that way, though, because like for me, especially, there's no telling when my mood shifts. Like the only reason I think I can sympathize with this enough is because I'm going through this literally right now. So. Okay, yeah, no, so okay, and this is where I kind of go back and forth on this. Mm-hmm. When I was dealing with the worst of my anxiety and everything else, unlike my father, because when I was growing up, my father effectively had the same thing, except that the understanding of what mental illness or anxiety was back when I was a kid and he was a younger man wasn't as nearly as well known or as well accepted, right? Right.
Okay, so when it hit me in my early 20s, I was cognizant and I was aware of the fact that, oh no, this is happening to me. And I also knew this is not me talking, if you know what I mean. This is something I don't have control over, Whereas my dad kind of internalized it, and he thought that was just the way he was, and he kind of accepted. He felt guilty over it because he thought that was his temper, and it's complicated. Anyway, but as I grew along with this, I came to understand where my limits were and how to avoid having it adversely affect my routine, or at least take precautions for it. And so, because I didn't want, unlike what happened with my dad, to have it spill over and inadvertently affect people who had nothing to do with it, right? Mm. And so the only part of this that makes me, like I say, empathy, but if she knew well enough ahead of time about how much her situation was overwhelming her, or could overwhelm her, or could become a liability to her being able to perform with her team, I would not have gone to the Olympics. Well, if I thought there was a risk that at the moment of necessity, as key, and she knew what a key figure she was. If I knew that I was going to have to bail out, I wouldn't have even made my team allow it, or go on the team and allow someone else to have the spot.
Right, but that's under the assumption, like you said, if you knew.
Well, she did. She's talked about these mental health issues before. That's the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But, so, for example, there are some days where I'm perfectly fine.
Spike.
I don't know why that happened. My mic would wait until I'm trying to make a fucking point to
go ahead.
Freak the fuck out. There are some days where I'm completely fine. Yeah. Like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with me. And I'll be going through most of the day. We'll hit noon, and then 4 p.m. and then 6 p.m. all of a sudden. It's like everything changed. It's like it just kind of hits you out of nowhere. And Squishy, she's always kind of jarred. She's like, what happened between now and then? And I'm just like, I don't know. I really couldn't tell you, but I feel low, as low as I can possibly feel, just out of nowhere. So that's why it's hard to call, like, she knew this beforehand. She just didn't do anything about it and left. Cause I'm just like, because I experience it and I know it could literally just happen at any moment, and you never know how hard it's going to hit you. It just kind of shows up, and it's like, hey, I'm here now.
Yeah. But if you had that foreknowledge that it could, would you and you knew that stressful situations put you in danger of having it triggered, would you then, like, knowingly put yourself in a position where you're being depended on by a whole bunch of other people to, contribute and perform for a team?
Well, I mean, I guess it depends, because if you have that mindset, then you might as well never do anything, because depression, it's not just going to disappear because you want it to.
I know.
Right. So if the mindset is, well, I have this depression thing and it can pop up at any time, so I better never do anything that'll allow somebody to rely on me, then you won't do anything.
Yeah, so, I guess, like I say, I guess I'm torn between, like you say, trying to, face your fear versus accepting the fact that you might be a liability. I guess it's a gamble, and it's unfortunate. I like I say, I don't have any, like, dog in the race here as far as the Olympics are concerned. I don't really care about the Olympics, but just as an example of it, it's just kind of like,
yeah. And to be honest, I don't fully understand her situation either. Everybody's different.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just trying to provide a perspective from a person who it's like a light switch for me,
Okay. Well, I mean, and truth be told, it is for me too. Like I say, I'm not trying to come at this like somebody who doesn't understand it. I'm just trying to sort of like, because I mean, and I had a kind of a conversation with somebody about this the other day, is that up until I started getting help for my problem, part of what sort of made me feel better about myself in a way was that I was able to control the insanity that was going on inside of me, so that it did not completely impair me from leading a relatively productive life, having a job, having relationships, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And that became, and trust me, of all people, I know how much this word is thrown around, but that achievement for myself became sort of part of my self-identity. And so I don't know if that's maybe callous towards some people or something about it. I don't know, maybe.
Well, maybe it's just a little bit, because I think when you're in the spotlight like that, and you're the best of the best, like shit just come at you that you can't control anyway. So like
Yeah.
in a controlled situation where you have control over your life and everything that happens, the people you deal with and associate with, it's a little bit easier. But I would imagine in that position, it's probably very difficult to control that.
Yeah. I mean, she's got, God knows, sponsorships. She's got her whole team, coaches. It is a much different situation to be in. I mean, and besides which, setting aside all the politics and everything else, just what these gymnasts do to their bodies to be able to do the things that they do, the risks they're putting their bodies in, throwing themselves, launching themselves into the air and hoping to land without breaking their ankle. Like I said, you're a better man than I, as it were. So, okay. Anyway, I'm going to move off of this one. And our discussion basically makes the other article about it redundant, so we'll move on. Well, I mean, no, really, the other one was just talking about like the effects of it and all this, and I think we've kind of covered that. So,
gotcha.
Let's move on to our favorite friend at CNN, Chris Eliza. And Chris Eliza wants to know why every Republican should be required to read Liz Cheney's opening statement. Yes, we had was today the first session of the insurrection committee?
Yeah, and they apparently the requirement for everybody to come up to the stands was to cry.
Yeah, that I heard that. I didn't see the footage, but I saw a lot of memes coming out about that. But really, the star of the show is Liz Cheney, because she's like, I think, one of only 2 Republicans who deigned to join the committee. Representative Liz Cheney has risked her entire career on her belief that what happened on January 6th at the U.S. Capitol was Donald Trump's doing and needs to be investigated in a fulsome and nonpartisan manner in order to protect America's democracy. Well, if January 6th was all Donald Trump's doing, if it was incitement that caused it to happen, then why are we having people look into, quote unquote, the planning of it? Remember when that story came out like a week ago or so, where they said they raided somebody's house and found a Lego model of the Capitol in their house, and this became like, did they use this to plan their attack?
They were talking about the fact that they had FBI and people infiltrating these groups, talking about the fact that they knew of the planning of this for months beforehand. Right.
So, which makes the whole incitement thing of Donald Trump on the day, just making this spontaneously happen, kind of fall apart on its face.
They know it's ridiculous, but they're going to pursue it anyway.
The Wyoming Republican stance on the 1-6 insurrection. That's what we have to call it now, the 1-6. You know. Grove Street. Anyway, 1-6 insurrection has cost her a leadership position within the House and badly endangered her chances of winning re-election next year, with Trump and forces loyal to him targeting her. Oh no! Liz Cheney, one representative out of how many? 400 something? 35? Oh no! Sort of like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I wouldn't even know or care what happens in Liz Cheney's political career if CNN didn't tell me I was supposed to pay attention to it. Like, isn't that more like Wyoming's problem?
I don't know. I just think the narrative shift is funny because last time I checked, all Republicans were monsters and horrible, evil Trump supporters, and now Liz Cheney is just like this person worth protecting and defending all of a sudden.
Well, let's not pretend that a Republican that goes against Hillary or something, a Democrat that goes against Hillary doesn't become a Republican darling or anything either. So.
Oh no, I mean, I'm just saying it's political bullshit as usual.
Yeah, it's a path that it's a path that almost no other politician in America today has taken. What? A Republican defying Trump? Almost no other? Well, how many is almost? It's a principled stand. And it's beyond politics.
Oh my God! It is beyond politics.
Okay, needs to be investigated in a fulsome and nonpartisan manner in order to protect American democracy. Because, as you know, what happened on January 6th destroyed democracy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's gone, guys. No more.
Yeah. The best thing for Cheney, politically speaking, wait a second, I thought it was beyond politics. Would be to sit silently or even endorse the big lie that the 2020 election was stolen. Are you telling a woman to be quiet? Because of Cheney's willingness to risk her career to take a stand on something she believes in deeply, it's worth listening when she talks. Why?
Because she said, look, here's the thing. The people who are on the opposite side, the people who you don't like, they took a stand and stuck to their guns regardless of their careers. But you ain't praising them and sucking them off, are you?
You know, if Nancy Pelosi came out tomorrow and said, I strongly believe in the existence of ghosts in my coffee cup. Well, it's worth listening when she talks, guys. Because if you strongly believe in something and take a stand on it and risk your career, well, obviously there's weight to what you have to say.
Yeah, we got to call the Ghostbusters now and help her out with that cup.
And she talked on Tuesday, delivering a powerful reminder of what makes our democracy great. Well, I thought it was under threat. And how tenuous it can be in her opening statement on the first hearing of the January 6th committee. Hey, Chris, I'm sorry. I keep coming back to this. The Civil War, Chris. Okay? Unless or until this country reaches a point where we are state versus state, brother versus brother again, you're going to have to climb a mighty hill to convince me that a riot at the Capitol came as close to destroying the democracy of this republic as the Civil War. It's just not going to happen. And you blowing that thing up into something so ridiculously huge, or being part of it, just makes you look like an absolute clown. Good Lord. Here it is. Quote, America is great because we preserve our democratic institutions at all costs. Okay. Until January 6th, yes, we were proof positive for the world that a nation conceived in liberty could long endure.
But now that the thing that happened that absolutely failed, by the way, now that that thing happened, the thing that failed, that did not defeat our powerful democracy that you're talking about, it's so weird. It's like, if this is like China is like, look, our Great Wall is amazing. It is the greatest wall ever. But until those kids threw a rock at it and knocked the boulder off the side, I don't know if we can really trust the integrity of our Great Wall.
Is it just me, or is anybody who starts underlining January 6th as the greatest threat to our democracy, are they not just completely and totally insulting the foundations of this country?
Dude, it seems like, it really seems like the very foundation of the way that they talk about anything is it's inherently insulting to whatever it is they're talking about. The way they talk about black people, the way they talk about women, the way they talk about trans people, it all starts off as a nice sentiment that at the end of the day, when you think about it, you're just like, did you just fucking insult me?
Yeah, I know I keep coming back to movies, but that's basically how I run my life. Did you ever see the movie, and I'm sure you haven't, but I'm just sort of rhetorically speaking, you ever see the movie The Siege with Denzel Washington?
I don't think I did.
Okay, this is a 90s movie, pre 9/11, by the way, because the subject matter is, kind of off kilter now. Anyway, short version, and you just have to watch the trailer. Just look up the original trailer of the movie The Siege, because the line is in there. The movie deals with a series of terrorist attacks that are taking place in New York City. I mean, as compared to 9/11, relatively low-level terrorist attacks like car bombings and things. And I forget who Denzel Washington plays, but he plays some sort of city official or something. And he might be the mayor of New York anyway. Anyway, he comes up at one point and he starts talking about the people that are doing this to the city and how they're not going to win. And he says, and I'm paraphrasing slightly, he says, "We're New York. We can take it." And that's the attitude I would rather see our politicians take on this thing, is that look at what didn't happen. The presidential selection process was not interrupted. The president was seated on time. The country, the systems in process, the people employed to do their jobs got through this regardless of this. Why don't you show some strength? Why don't you cheer on the mechanisms that actually superseded this nonsense, rather than underlining and glorifying these guys into some position of super villainy that exceeds Dr. Doom in destruction? Could you think about doing that, maybe? Being a cheerleader for what makes this country great, instead of saying that these yahoos put everything at risk on one day with one riot? Wouldn't that be more admirable of somebody who's employed to defend the Constitution, who believes in this country, who's working within the system because they want to make it better, whether you agree with them or not on their methods? Wouldn't that be a better way to go about it, you think?
Well, let me ask you this. Who do you think fear tactics work better on? A confident public who thinks that our democracy is strong and can withstand anything? Or one that believes that every time a fucking squirrel farts, our fucking entire democracy can crumble at any moment?
I just, the Chicken Little notion of this whole thing. And does it need to be investigated? Sure. Does it need to be blown up into this absolute pivot point of our entire nation and the world did not believe that give me a break. Give me a break. I can't read any more of this. I'll just go off forever. It just Liz Cheney is not doing anything powerful or brave or anything else in that statement. That is absolute cowardice. Well, that is absolute. As far as I'm concerned, it's practically. Well, I'm not going to get too hyperbolic about it. It's just ridiculous.
Well, Demon, relax. I know that the country itself is not a democracy, but that's not what we're talking about.
I'm talking about the democracy of our country.
They're talking about the democratic process.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Let's see. So, just when you thought everything was getting back to normal, masks and vaccine mandate shows CDC and Biden taking emergency action amid COVID-19 surge. Yeah, because even if you're vaccinated, you can still get sick. The steps President Joe Biden's administration is adopting this week to recommend masks and require vaccines for federal workers amount to emergency actions designed to contain a new surge of COVID-19 that has quickly become the top issue confronting the White House. The moves reflect a dramatic shift from earlier messaging about the pandemic waning and signal the fight of Biden's presidency is far from over. Oh, so they were premature in their rosy outlook?
Yeah, because they were so focused on making Biden look good and saying that Biden has already officially defeated COVID and saved the world that now we're back where we started.
So nice. Is this, are you saying that they're confessing to an error? They made a boo-boo? Biden on Tuesday explicitly laid blame for the current situation on unvaccinated people.
Oh, it's not the president's fault anymore?
Oh, yeah. Okay. An escalation of his use of his bully pulpit as he furiously searches with his team for ways to curb the spread of the virus. No, curb the spread of the blame towards him or his administration or his advice to people or any of the other people who said, oh, it's okay to come out now. It's safe. Now, this isn't me advocating for lockdowns because they obviously didn't do anything in the first place. But if you're not going to take responsibility for the one, you can't take credit for the other. The White House and U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention are adjusting its tactics because of a surge in cases driven by the fast-spreading Delta variant and new information about transmission, even by vaccinated people, multiple sources familiar with the matter said. Yeah, because, okay, just as a tip, coronaviruses are one of those common types of viruses in the world. Like, there are lots and lots of them. And the vaccines only cover, like, a certain percentage of these things within a range of mutation. And if they mutate just a little bit outside the range of what the vaccine was covering, well, then the vaccine is effectively either ineffective or far less effective than in the first version. So every time that this thing changes a little bit, whatever you've got, unless they've come up with a version or a method that finds a lower common denominator, you're just at risk again. Now, will your body be more prepared to fight it? Yes, conceivably. Anyway. The decisions were not taken lightly, administration officials said, and came after a series of meetings, including a Sunday evening session where the new mask guidelines and a vaccine requirement at the Department of Veterans Affairs were discussed among Biden's team. Officials from the CDC and other federal health agencies continue to brief the White House officials into Monday. It's interesting that this all comes about just a couple of days after the Pentagon announced publicly that over 2,000 people in its that they knew of had become sick after being fully vaccinated. Mm-hmm. Biden is expected to deliver remarks on Thursday laying out more of his strategy, including the announcement of a vaccine requirement for all federal workers and contractors. He said Tuesday a vaccine requirement for all federal workers was under consideration. Officials said such a requirement wouldn't include dismissing those workers who remain unvaccinated. Instead, new rules would require regular testing and masks for those who have refused shots, making life difficult for anyone who decides not to get a vaccine. White House staffers were back in masks on Tuesday, required to wear them regardless of vaccination status, per an official. So it really doesn't matter. So even if you are vaccinated, you'll just have as many difficulties, save for the testing part, I guess. Although, shouldn't you be tested anyway if the vaccination could conceivably be broken through? So is anybody really on a higher level of treatment in this situation? Biden's aide said they were aware of the potential political fallout from the recent steps and acknowledged privately that earlier resistance to vaccine requirements was based partly on the expectation it would spark backlash. Let me read that again. And acknowledged privately that earlier resistance to vaccine requirements was based partly on the expectation it would spark backlash. So, again, whatever you think of the whole health issue globally. So rather than do what you knew or conceivably knew was going to be the safer bet for people's health, in order to avoid being called mean names, you demurred.
Okay. Now, Scribe.
Yes.
I need you to take a step back, hop into your memory banks, and tell me what this sounds like. Remember, think back really closely about when it first began.
Mm-hmm.
Trump's decision and why he said he made it.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah. No, God, someone has used some corrective fluid on my brain. I don't know what you're talking about, Satsu.
Well, if you recall,
I don't.
When the pandemic started,
yeah,
Trump said that he didn't take an action that would have probably been better for people's overall health. Because he didn't want to spark backlash. And everybody's...
We don't want to spark a panic. I remember now.
Yeah, he said he didn't want to he didn't want people to panic. And everybody said, well, because you did that... Why are you yelling?
Because your mic spiked again in my ears.
It looks the same to me. It didn't even move.
I don't know what to tell you. Chat, did it or did it not? Just go through the roof. Because, man, that hurt.
Well, every time you do that, I look over at my mic to see if it spiked, and it's
okay.
Still...
Well, then I need to call the Ghostbusters because your mic is haunted.
Well, I'm not saying you're lying. I'm just saying, why is it not showing?
Yeah, look at the chat. Look at the chat. Look, everybody's backing me up on this.
I'm not saying you're lying.
What I need you to do, I need you to invest in a play school microphone, something that's like bottom basement, because whatever you got right there, man, that's crazy. But now officials said health concerns should outweigh what many expect will be accusations of flip-flopping and harsh blowback from Republicans. Wait. Now health concerns should outweigh what the Republicans are going to say? Wait, so the Biden White House is scared of criticism from Republicans when it comes to health concerns. This is an amazing, although I understand this is not a quote. They can't quote anybody at the White House because they'd have to use names. But if this little paragraph here constitutes the actual inside baseball of White House staff and officials in the administration, that is an amazing admission of just utter and absolute political stupidity. You want all the criticism we've had for the last year and a half or whatever of putting politics ahead of people's health over and over. Well, are you guys innocent of? No.
So basically what he's saying, if we translate this into the way they interpreted Trump's decision, you decided you were going to murder people just so you wouldn't get any backlash from the Republicans.
Or accusations of flip-flopping or anything else. Look, here's the thing, and I want to make this clear. Things like this are not a straight line, static situation. Things change, right? Okay, especially when you're talking about disease and variants and all this other stuff. I'm not talking about the TVA, by the way. So if something new occurs, if you get new information that causes you to have to change course, and it's an honest, just, this suddenly happened, we've got to make a change. I can understand that. It's not going to be fun. It's never fun to admit that you made a mistake or that you have to go back on what you said before because new information comes. That's just life. But that's not the motivator here. That was not what motivated these guys to turn around all of a sudden. It's that suddenly the health concerns overcame their previous hesitancy, and their previous hesitancy wasn't on, well, we're waiting for more information before making a decision. No, we just don't want to be accused of flip-flopping. That's bullshit.
I need a link to this article, please.
Okay, you're spiking again just a little bit. Putting it in the chat now. There's the article. And we've already gone over time, so I'm going to move on to the wonderful world of MSS News. Everyone, if you have news stories you'd like us to read on the air, please send them to us via Twitter using the hashtag MSS News. Can't promise to get to them all, but I'll hopefully get them as many as I can before I lose my voice. Because apparently I'm losing my voice. Or a little frog in my throat. It's not Froggy, I swear. If Froggy's here. Froggy, you're not in my throat, are you? No. Let's see. This one comes from Sean Uli. The honeymoon's over. American optimism drops 20 points to mark Biden's 6 months in office. Well, that's interesting because CNN had a story yesterday or the day before that said that Biden's approval rating had basically not moved at all in the last 3 months. It was like 53% steady, which, according to them, was unheard of in presidential politics. But this is about American optimism. Also, your gain is still bringing in the air conditioning from the background. I don't know if he just muted himself or just dropped his gain down to 0. But the honeymoon is officially over. Americans' optimism about the country's direction has plummeted almost 20 points since the spring. Sadly, that's a rational reaction to President Joe Biden's first 6 months. Again, that's interesting, and I don't know if the CNN stats are correct or not, but they were big on the fact that his polling numbers had basically plateaued and been that way for quite a while. It's not just that the public gives the president low marks on his handling. Non-handling is more like it, of the surge at the southern border. Yeah, do we even talk about that anymore? And the surge in shootings in our streets. I mean, we don't talk about that much either. There are also worries about rapid inflation and new lockdowns in the face of the Delta variant, problems Team Biden is plainly making worse. Oh, this is a commentary piece. Okay. Oh, this is the Post editorial board. Okay, I wasn't sure. In the ABC News Ipsos poll, just 45% of Americans are optimistic about the country's direction this coming year, down from 64% in early May. That is a ridiculously big drop, yeah. And the drop was about the same 20 points for Republicans and Democrats, and worse, 26 points for independents. I guess it's because the government in total is being held to account in a way for running the country. Heaven forfend. It's no wonder consumer prices rose 5.4% in June from a year earlier, the biggest monthly jump since right before the 2008 financial crisis. Even the post-pandemic recovery seems at risk as new unemployment claims jumped last week to 419,000, the highest level since mid-May and more than twice the average in pre-pandemic 2019. Yet Biden claims there's, quote, no evidence his expanded jobless benefits slowed the return to work and refuses to admit his vast spending plans threaten even more inflation. Crucially, Biden's handling of the pandemic got its lowest rating yet, with 63% approval. That's better than he's earned. Again, this is an editorial piece from New York Post. The Prez took credit for it's the president. Credit for the vaccine's president, capital P, Donald Trump, got off the ground, but he's missed his own target of getting 70% of adults their first shot by July 4th and still hasn't met it. Okay. And this is one of those situations I'm like, he has no control over that. The messaging might be in his realm. Honestly, and I said this a couple of days ago, I would employ a very old tactic of like the fireside chat. All right. If the biggest problem they're citing about the situation is the incorrect data that social media is putting out there, well, then why don't you sit down in front of the nation and have giant placards that say, here's a rumor that is going around, and here's the truth with citations so people can look it up themselves and have all that stuff available on a website that people can look up, along with information that might be from competing sources that still back it up. How about that? I don't understand why they haven't done something like that. That seems like a sort of an old Ross Perot chart presentation. Getting Americans jabbed should have been Biden's overwhelming priority, yet his team clearly underestimated the challenge, despite such known facts as many of us won't even get the flu vaccine, and even healthcare workers are notoriously vax resistant. I'm still getting my flu vaccine. I usually get it within the first 2 weeks of September, because the coverage of the inoculation lasts about 2 or 3 months. And so I try to get it just on the edge of the worst of the flu season, so it covers me over the holidays. That's my strategy anyway. Then he began a feckless drive for another $6 trillion in new spending, aiming to rival FDR. Well, there's FDR again. When his party barely controls either house of Congress. It's barely, yeah. He also burned energy and political capital with Jim Crow nonsense about Republican efforts to slightly tighten election security and embrace the left's incredibly divisive systemic racism obsession. These things were all true, at least in spirit, if not in the specificity of these current bills and things, during the campaign. So none of this really surprises me, honestly. All while the vaccine effort flagged, and now his administration is feeding false fears of doom over Delta. I don't. If Biden, well, I mean, it'll be doom if they institute more lockdowns as a result. If Biden had governed as he promised on Inauguration Day, seeking unity, he could have passed a series of modest bipartisan bills targeted at the nation's real needs. I don't give him or the Republicans that much credit for working together. While focusing on the serious challenge of jabbing the whole country to guarantee a return to normalcy and the booming pre-COVID economy, but he chose to chase historic victories and sow deepened political divisions while sowing economic trouble. Ironically, a president elected mainly to be different from the last guy has been all about feeding his own ego and earning this huge loss in public confidence. Well, just like the last time when the presidential election came around, I was like, well, you voted for what you got. So there you go. Let's see. Satsu, have you abandoned me altogether? Have you left me? Have you left me all? I fear what happens when he turns his mic back. Okay. Well,
I'm still here.
If the worst I have to deal with is just a moderate hiss of your air conditioning in the background, I'll take that over having my eardrums blasted every 3 seconds.
I'll try my best to.
All right. Let's see. Oh, Lord. Okay, this one comes from... Actually, we just talked about that, so I'm going to find something else. Sorry, Frosted Glass. I'm going to try to find something other than the current health crisis to talk about for a minute. Okay, this one comes from Frosted Glass. This other one comes from Frosted Glass. Let me get this one up here. 1 second to that, if it'll come up. There we go. And then over here. Thank you, Matt Barnes. Satsu will not be silenced. I mean, yeah, I guess that's true. I'm kind of taking him away from his ability to speak for himself, aren't I?
Racist.
I don't know. If you just didn't have a mic drop. Former White House doctor thinks Biden's going to resign. Quote, there's something seriously going on with this man right now. Wow. Right now, you say? I don't know, Doc. You've been paying attention for the last, 2 years or so? Okay. Representative Ronnie Jackson, Republican of Texas. Wait, The Root is basing a story around a Republican's opinion? Okay. The whitest man with the blackest name. Oh, The Root. You get some singers in there once in a while. Ronnie Jackson.
Yeah.
What's your weigh-in on that comment there?
I mean, Ronnie Jackson is a Negro name.
All right. The phony... Wait. The whitest man with the blackest name. The phony physician who used to claim that President Trump was the most fit president in the history of America believes that President Biden is suffering from limited cognitive abilities and will resign. Okay, so you're basing a story around somebody you don't believe. Okay, I was confused for a minute there, obviously. Apparently Biden, a.k.a. Weekend at Bernie's, participated in a CNN town hall, and Representative Ronnie Jackson, who I imagine walking around his office yelling, Ronnie Jackson's going to do what's best for Ronnie Jackson. You can believe that shit. Oh, The Root. Wasn't impressed, calling part of Biden's talk completely incomprehensible. It was. Did you listen? How much? And not only that, but some of the things he said that were comprehensible, but just flat out crazy and wrong and were not a result of a stutter.
Yeah, but you have to remember, like my friend told me, most people just read in between the lines and truly understand what he always means.
Right.
So.
In an interview with phony newsman Sean Hannity, Ronnie Jackson, owner of the Deuce and a Quarter that he drives while wearing a captain's hat. Man, you know we've got some real honest journalism. We're reading the Root, and every other paragraph has to have some ding on the guy because of his name. Claim that he can tell the president's health is going downhill fast. I mean, the Root, honestly, can you say that having observed Biden's behavior at public occasions, speeches, one-on-one conversations, that there's nothing a little off about him and his ability to hold a thought, compose a sentence, speak the truth or accurate information when it's at it's at his beck and call, presumably because he's the president of the United States, the guy in charge of things. And just setting all aside, whether your opinion, just the guy's age. Okay, I mean, listen to just look at video of him from 10 years ago, and listen to video of him now. And you tell me there has not been a decline in that man's faculties. Just and again, it's not a judgment call. It's just nature taking its course. Quote, Donald Trump took a cognitive test. He got 30 out of 30 right. I hear it's a very difficult test. I do not think Joe Biden would do well on that test. Is that a fair assessment based on what I'm observing? Well, you can't know that, first and foremost.
Well, he said, I don't think so.
Yeah, okay. Quote, absolutely, Sean, and I've been saying this from the very beginning. I've been saying that something's going on here. I was saying this when he was a candidate, you and everybody else. And I've been saying that it's only going to get worse, and guess what? We're watching that happen right now, right before our eyes right now, Jackson said. Quote, there's something seriously going on with this man right now, and I think that he's either going to resign, they're going to convince him to resign from office at some point in the near future for medical issues, or they're going to have to use the 25th Amendment to get rid of this man right now, Jackson later said. Okay.
Now,
yeah, go ahead.
What would the narrative be if this did happen? Do you think they would give this dude credit for it and keep calling him a fake, whatever, or would they just pretend like he never said it and be like, "Oh, wow, this is such a surprise"?
Yeah, they'll pretend it never happened and they'll accept it as a necessity. But here's the thing: short of something like unavoidably disastrous happening with this guy's health in the near future, if he is to willfully resign or be encouraged to do so, we've talked about this before. It will not happen until after he served at least 2 years in the office. Because at that point, if he steps down, then Kamala has the opportunity to run for president again. Mm-hmm. Right? And then it's 2 more times down the road. So conceivably, you could have a Democratic president in office or the same one for 10 years. But he has to be in office at least 2 years in order for the vice president to have that opportunity. So that would be the only calculus here. Otherwise, short of something that is just undeniably terrible happens to his ability to fulfill his office, for him to actually resign or to be encouraged to do so. Thank you, Matt Barnes. When you want SpaghettiOs, your dog needs a gallon of gas, your dad can go fishing. Joe Biden, probably. Well, yeah, so this is kind of a nothing story in the sense of if he does resign or something happens at some point, this guy will be ignored as having ever said anything. But of course, this guy isn't some brilliant genius, because anybody having watched him proceed the last 2 or 3 years, and especially the last 2 years, can see that something is off about a guy who's practically he is elderly. So anyway.
Well, we have to also remember, too, that the media has been trying to destroy the narrative that there is anything wrong with his health to begin with. Because remember, They were saying that there were ridiculous notions being pushed by Republicans that his health is somehow deteriorating. So,
well, okay, you're spiking again. Just a little bit. Let's move on. Well, I also like the hypocrisy of back when Hillary was running. We were told over and over again it's not appropriate to question her health. And then, of course, when Trump was in office, it was more than appropriate to question his health, sanity, and so on. And now again, we're back around to where you can't question the guy's health. Anyway, let's see. This one comes from, let me get it right here because I didn't see it in the first place. Mashishu. Tokyo reports highest daily COVID cases days after Olympics began, officials say. I thought the Olympics were practically a non-participatory or observing event. Like at one of the, I remember hearing on the radio, like one of the events, usually the stadium was filled with tens of thousands of people, but in this situation, there's only like 1,500. Health Minister Norihisa Tamura partly attributed the rising rate of infection to the news Delta variant. Fox News, you need to get off your name a little bit and take that S off. Let's see. Tokyo has been hit hard with a surge of new coronavirus cases since the Olympics kicked off last week, with Japan's capital recording the highest number of cases since the pandemic began last year. Well, when you fly in a bunch of people from around the world into one relatively isolated location, you're rolling the dice. And as we've already seen, being vaccinated does not prevent you from getting sick again. Fears that the games could possibly lead to another outbreak were supported on Tuesday after officials announced 2,848 cases. News. Okay. What is wrong here? Twice in the same article. News Delta variant, news cases. New. Who's the editor here? I feel like I'm reading a CNN. Did Chris Cillizza start moonlighting for Fox News? Exceeding the previous record set in early January of 2,520 daily cases. Quote, refrain from going out unnecessarily, and I want you to watch the Olympics and Paralympics on TV, Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga said. I'm probably screwing that up via Reuters. When asked if Japan would have to consider suspending the Olympics, Suga replied, quote, there is no worry about that, unquote. Now, they're never, now, short of like the biggest disaster ever, they're not going to suspend the Olympics. Hell, even in, what was it, 76 or what, in Munich? Yeah, they didn't suspend the Olympics even when you had like a terrorist cell taking hostage the Israeli team. Or at least they didn't, briefly they suspended the games, but then kept going even through it, which is crazy. Health Minister Norihisa Tamura partly attributed the rising. You just said that before. So the undertitle of your article is in line you repeat. Okay. Quote, taking into consideration the global acceleration of infections because of the Delta strain, which is taking over earlier variants, it was quite possible, he said. As a result of the rise in new cases, authorities reportedly plan to ask medical institutions to increase their capacity to about 6,000 beds for COVID-19 patients. Officials are also pushing people to be vaccinated as a way to decrease the risk. The government says that around 25% of Japan is vaccinated. In Tokyo, about 60% of the elderly are vaccinated, Governor Yuriko Koike said. He noted that the age group only makes up 2% of the new cases. It is crucially to promptly vaccinate younger people, she said. Yeah, I mean, of all the demographics, they're the ones that aren't almost to a one vaccinated because of the whole measurement of how much you need in a kid and all that stuff. You want to give it another try, Satsu? Oh, Lord. Guess not. Guess not. So, yeah, Satsu needs a new mic. I don't know what else to say. I don't know why this is suddenly happening. We never had this problem before. You know, this just started like, 2 weeks ago or something with any regularity. I don't know if it's a software update or maybe he already, I don't know. But there's some setting or there's something out there somewhere in his computer that suddenly decided to flip a switch. And, man. All right. We'll do a couple more here because I got a feeling Satsu's not going to be saying much tonight. Oh, God. Flying solo. I'm Han Solo. I'm Han Solo. All right. This one comes from Spudgun. Guido Fox. Looks like you're using an ad blocker. You don't say. All right. Fine. This once. What? You value my privacy? Okay, I'm going to read through your privacy thing. Zara's poverty wages. And if you guys can't see the text here, I apologize. But anyway, last November, Corbinista Zara Sultana, lifelong campaigner against low pay, sent solidarity to McDonald's staff striking in their campaign for a, quote, decent wage of $15 an hour, with Zara arguing, quote, no one should ever have to choose between heating their home or feeding their children. Labor will end the scandal of poverty pay, unquote. Guido, the author of this story, is confused, therefore, as to why Sultana is now advertising for a caseworker to work for £11,000 per year, 20 hours per week. For those too lazy to do the maths, this works out to a meager £10.57 per hour, because I have aphasia, apparently, a whole 30% lower than she was demanding McDonald's staff be paid. I see. Okay, and that's the story, Hypocrisy. I don't even know who this lady is, but apparently she's British or something, and Britbong News is Britbong News. Let's see. And we'll do one more here, and then hopefully I'll just have to turn my volume down or something so Satsu can rejoin. This one comes from Travis Gardner. Let me get this up here. I'm a Parkland shooting survivor. QAnon convinced my dad it was all a hoax. Okay, now that's just freaking crazy. Like, totes crazy. Bill's final semester at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida was already difficult enough. He was part of the final graduating class of survivors of the 2018 shooting, and they all had just marked the third anniversary of the day 17 people were killed, 9 of whom were Bill's classmates. But Bill also had to deal with his father's daily accusations that the shooting was a hoax and that the shooter, Bill, and all his classmates were paid pawns in a grand conspiracy orchestrated by some shadowy force. I think Bill's dad might have mental health problems. It might be spurred on by quote unquote QAnon stuff, but I think that's not, I don't think QAnon is the problem. Bill had worked hard to get over his survivor's guilt after the shooting, but for the past 5 months, his own father has been triggering it all over again. Quote, he'll say stuff like this straight to my face whenever he's drinking. You don't say. You're a real piece of work to be able to sit here and act like nothing ever happened if it wasn't a hoax. Shame on you for being part of it and putting your family through it too, Bill said in an anonymous post on Reddit last week. It's an anonymous okay. Did you find this person and check with them to verify their bona fides? Bill first posted a story on QAnon Casualties, a Reddit thread dedicated to helping family members and friends of QAnon believers. Vice News spoke to the poster, okay, and confirmed that the author's claims about being a survivor of the school shooting, okay, all right. I was just like, wait a second. Bill is not the student's real name, no kidding, as they only spoke to Vice News on the condition of anonymity, citing concerns about attacks from members of QAnon forums if his identity was revealed. As is true for many who fell down the QAnon rabbit hole in recent years, Bill's dad's descent coincided with the pandemic. I was hearing about QAnon craziness way before the pandemic. I mean, okay, quote, it started a couple of months into the pandemic with the whole anti-lockdown protests, Bill said. His feelings were so strong it turned into facts for him. So if he didn't like having to wear masks, it wouldn't matter what doctors or scientists said. Anything that contradicted his feelings was wrong. So he turned to the internet to find like-minded people, which led him to QAnon. That was almost poetic. Okay. But until January, that was as far as it went. Then Bill's father saw a video of Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene harassing Parkland survivor David Hogg in 2018 while he was visiting Washington to advocate for stricter gun control. Greene has repeatedly voiced support for QAnon and claimed the Parkland shooting was a hoax. He is a coward, Greene told her followers. Ever since then, Bill's father has become convinced the shooting his son survived was a so-called false flag event and that the shooter was, quote, a radical commie actor, unquote. Yes, so your father is insane. Your father was insane before QAnon. He would have been insane without QAnon. Your father's insane. Okay. And sounds like he's also possibly an alcoholic. But, okay. It sucks, don't get me wrong.
Can you still hear my background?
Only in the barest sense, so you're fine right now.
I reinstalled the Wave program that I was using before for my mic that has the gain lock on it.
Yeah.
and I turned it on. So I don't know if that'll change anything. But if my mic freaks out again, I'm gonna leave. So.
Well, no, you're not gonna leave. Just turn the volume down on your mic.
But it keeps spiking.
Well, then just don't leave me alone, Satsu. Please don't leave me alone with these people.
Well, if I'm worthless here, what's the point? Like
you don't know how much pressure the chat puts on me to perform every night. Okay, now you may be thinking that I'm making fun of Simone Biles in that, but I wasn't actually. Not until I just said that did I think about it. So I was trying to be melodramatic, but then I bled over into, they might think I'm making fun. No, I'm not. Well, not intentionally anyway, so there you go. Anyway, okay, your dad's crazy, and that sucks. And he might have latched on to QAnon, but he was already crazy before QAnon. And I think this is the first time I've heard of QAnon in quite a while. I don't think we've had anything mention it in weeks.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while since. Okay. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for all the stories. We're going to move on to the wonderful world of YouTube time. I'll go first since I have very little. So Thursday, here on my channel at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, I'll be hosting Sinatra Says for TED Excellence. And I picked out a TED Excellence that hopefully, fingers crossed, will interest him, at least ostensibly, and be entertaining to go through with him. And as well, the pride I have already trumpeted about regarding the thumbnail I created for the show. Hopefully you'll enjoy it when you see it. And I'll probably end up early posting the link to that tomorrow afternoon in order that there's time to promote the occasion, because I don't have as many wingmen on TED Excellence as I kind of would like to. I just keep forgetting to sort of pre-schedule people or ask people. So I'm going to start trying to change that habit as things go forward. And beyond that, may be doing a Sunday stream. We shall see. I think I can still fit it in and hang out with my sister afterwards. So I will let you guys know as we proceed. And then, of course, that's all I got. Satsu, what do you got?
I'm all reluctant to fucking speak now.
I know. I'm sorry. I can't. It's not your fault. I don't blame you. It's just it's one of those things.
I know. It's just everything else on top of this is just it's too much for me right now. But I haven't really been doing anything on the YouTube front specifically. I am working on some stuff. I've been getting back on trying to edit my cooking videos again, like I said, and I'm taking that very slowly, just to not get burnt out. Turned in my school assignment today, which was frustrating because I had to do that twice, which was annoying because I took all the pictures for my school assignment and went to go turn it in, and something happened between me taking my SD card out of my camera and plug it into my computer, because 4 of the pictures were either missing or corrupted. I don't know what the hell happened, but they just were gone. And I'm I know I took them, so what happened? And it just so happened that 2 or 3 of the pictures out of the 4 that vanished somehow were crucial to me turning in my work, and so crucial, in fact, that there was no way for me to make it again and then just replace those particular pictures. I would have to do the entire dish over again. So I had to do that again this morning, which was great. Which is weird to complain about because I was just cooking. I cook every day,
Real quick, speaking of foodstuffs, thank you, Andrew Joyner, for the kissy lemon person thing. Anthropomorphized lemon, blowing me a kiss. I'm not quite sure what that's supposed to mean.
Yeah, so
go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know what that means either.
Is it? Oh, wait, I know what it is. It's sweet and sour.
Yeah.
You get it?
No.
Continue.
No, I've been just trying to slowly incorporate my editing back into my regimen now that I've kind of gotten myself backgrounded or whatever. So Content will start coming out again. I don't even remember the last time I uploaded a cooking video. I know it's been too long. I completely abandoned my culinary appreciation thing because that was like a really positive, super happy. Yeah, I'm excited to do this. This will be a nice thing to do. And then when all the shit hit the fan and I found out about my health, I was just like, yeah, I don't care about anything else. So fortunately, I've been checking my glucose because I bought a monitor and it's down to like anywhere from anytime I check it, it's either 100 or like 130, which is much better than 500. So yeah, I've been doing okay with that and eating better and monitoring that stuff. So all is well on that front. I just need to get myself back into editing and doing all that stuff again, and it's coming. So don't worry, guys. That content will be dropping again. But that's all I'm up to.
All right. Well, let's see. For Fucketry, I got a couple of things. I'm going to use this new ability to show my Twitter. So Chat Mort got a tweet today that says, "Why am I not a pog yet?" Me after doing 20 squats, getting winded, and sitting down to look at Instagram for an hour. And I said, fixed. God. Because I'm a third grader. Also, this one from the Washington Post. Analysis: China may be having a harder time with Biden than with Trump. Right. And then this last one, if it'll come up. Cuomo says that he told the truth on COVID from day one. Horton here's a bitch-ass liar. I thought that was, I got to be careful of what I scroll down to because I don't know if there's. I have certain things on my feed that I might. Well, I don't share that stuff. So, I do want to point this out. This came out yesterday. Matt Orchard, friend of the show, Matt Orchard, crime and sociology channel. He got his silver YouTube play button for exceeding 100,000 subscribers, and gosh, I mean, he's just shot through the roof in the last couple of months. Because when I interviewed him. I can't remember what I started following him when he had only like maybe like 1,000 or 2,000 subscribers. Wow. And when I interviewed him, I think he was at 3 or 4 or something. I mean, he was in decent shape as compared to me, but man, he's just gone through the roof. So congratulations to Matt, and hope he gets that gold one. What's is gold 500,000 or is it 1 million?
1 million, I believe.
Yeah. The other thing that was going on that was funny today was this. Just ponder that for a second and understand there was a obvious printing error, design error in this thing, or somebody did some very clever Photoshop on the letters.
Huh.
Now, see, it's supposed to say adoption, so the P is supposed to be on a different spot there.
Yeah.
But when I first saw it, I had a completely different thought process about what it was trying to say, which I won't say for family reasons. But you know,
is that like a kawaii version of Scorpion?
I don't know. Adorpian.
We need a
Adorpian.
We need a cute chibi version of Scorpion now.
Adorpian. And we already talked about this a little bit, but the Ghostbusters Afterlife new official trailer came out today, and like I said, Monkey and I were having a little bit of a tiff over our outlook for this. And Monkey's fear is that the prime mover of the plot from the trailer appears to be the children know what's going on and teach the adults because the children are smarter than the adults. And this falls into a woke category, specifically because it's attempting to reboot a franchise that started out as for lack of a better phrase, a mature humor type franchise. If you watch the original Ghostbusters, and you really should, not the real Ghostbusters, although that cartoon's great, but the original Ghostbusters movie, the humor is very deadpan. It is very low key. It's very conversational, and you don't necessarily get it if you're a kid. Now, my sister and I loved that movie when we were kids because the Ghostbusters were funny, the ghosts were funny, and it was scary. But it was scary in a sort of a tolerable way, not like a horror movie gore way. But it was, it was like one of the perfect balances of a movie ever, and a lot of people agree on that. Now, my hope for this movie is that you can have that same kind of balance again. But even if this is effectively an attempt at a reboot of the franchise, because certainly the 2016 version was not, if the people making this, respect the source material, and because Jason Reitman, son of Ivan Reitman, who did Ghostbusters, presumably does have an appreciation for the original source material, the theme, the recipe, everything. And if you inject into it the kind of, the movie is led by kids, but the movie is not a kid movie, like The Goonies, like Monster Squad, like, E.T., where it's sort of, there's some universal things going on there, and you didn't treat the kids like cartoon characters. Then this movie has the possibility, with the pedigree that it has, of being really good. Now, it also has the possibility of being absolute garbage. I understand that. But every time, so far, and I'm not even thinking about the 2016 movie, so far they have not ruined the original franchise of Ghostbusters for me. Okay, Star Wars, Star Trek, yeah, but I'm holding out hope, really holding out hope that this one artifact from my childhood will not be totally, just irrevocably, I'm having a Biden moment, torn asunder. Hoping. We shall see. But beyond that, this person at Comic Book Now says, Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer has some fans asking, where's the comedy? And I said, well, I can't draw too much from the trailer. You might want to go back and watch the original film and keep in mind the concept of deadpan. There's one line in the trailer, I won't say what it is in case you want to have nothing ruined or anything. There's one line in the trailer where the girl character you see here on the screen, she delivers a response to something, and I took it sort of like that guy on Facebook who wants to read between the lines, know what they really meant.
Mm-hmm.
I thought of it in terms of who she is the relative of in relation to the original film, and thought of it in his tone and in his type of humor. And I thought, depending on how that line is delivered and the timing, it could be hilarious if you're thinking in those terms. So that's all I'll say about that. So like I say, I'm holding out hope. I haven't completely given up on the concept like certain simians I know. But there's that, and there's the show. Anyway, that's all the fucketry I suppose I have. You got any?
Not really. I didn't really get into anything today.
Well, you're no help at all.
Look, man, I don't be dealing with that drama shit, which is a lie because I do, which is why I have fucking problems right now.
Well, is there any real life fucketry you can talk about, or want to talk about? You don't have to. I mean, real life is real life. But...
not without complaining.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, Angela Arriaga says, hello, Scribe Light, by the way. Is that my deed name now, Scribe Light, by the way? You know what a deed name is?
A deed name?
A deed name, yeah.
No.
Okay, so if you do something and that becomes sort of like your... It's usually attributed to Native American culture, where it's runs with buffaloes or something, right? Or dances with wolves, that kind of thing. Okay, so that's the phrase that sort of reflexive comes to my mind is a deed name, and that comes from the game Werewolf the Apocalypse, which takes a lot of its cues from certain aspects of Native American culture and that kind of stuff. Anyway, so you do something really significant, and that becomes your name, your deed name. I had a character. God, do I want to give this away because it's a long story? No, I won't give it away. Anyway, I had a character who did something really crazy, kooky, cool, and I got a deed name out of it, where I used a grenade launcher to blow up some vampires in a speedboat. That's the short version. And so my character's name became Smoke on the Water. That's it's the Smoke on the Water. I thought it was a great name. is there something in your life that would have given you a deed name? Like, is there a significant thing you did, some accomplishment or something? What would your deed name be?
Well, I mean, if you asked my family, it would probably be the gamer or something like that, because that's pretty much all I did. So it'd have to be some creative name. But if it was my family choosing, though, it wouldn't be creative or nice. It'd be to make me feel bad. But you guys come up with a some type of creative, cool name for somebody who plays video games a lot.
Plays for food.
The Otherworlder.
No, Satsu plays for food.
Satsu plays for food.
Yeah. I have no idea. Let's see. Something. It'd have to be something to do with the BDSM club. I think that's probably the most like totally bizarre, unique thing about my personal life story that I have to come up with something for. Like, I don't know. Somebody else would have to come up with it. I'd be too self-serving to do it myself. Let's see. Do I have anything else to talk about? Anything else? Let's see what's going on in the wonderful world real quick. See if anything's happening on CNN. No, nothing really that exciting. I guess we could move on to the wonderful world of question time. Or I could do a Mad Lib with the two of us in the chat. You want to do
that? Sure.
All right. Even though I'll know the name of the Mad Lib, I won't know what the end result will be, so that's not necessarily cheating. Let's see, Mad Lib online, and I'll get to actually put some words in there for once. Let's see. Okay. Oh, I've been to this site so many times. We're probably going to end up duplicating some previous thing, but oh well. Okay, chat. Actually, chat, what I need from you. Gosh, there's so much. So like the last like half dozen of these things are all the same deals. So, all right, chat. What I need from you is two things, and with these two things, I'm going to fill 9 spaces. So the majority of this is going to be on your shoulders. All right. So all I need from you, 2 different things. I need a noun and a plural noun. A noun and a plural noun, because this thing contains 6 nouns in a row and 3 plural nouns in a row. And with those 2 things from you, I will fill up over half of this Mad Lib. All right. So a noun and a plural noun. And be sure to tag your suggestions in the chat. Satsu, I need an adjective.
Grumpy.
Grumpy. Okay. Adjective number 2 for me. An adjective. Coarse, as in like, like sandpaper. By the way, Satsu, except for one thing, these are all adjectives. So get another adjective for me.
Oh, just prep a bunch of adjectives.
Yeah, just prep a bunch of adjectives. That's it.
How about uncomfortable?
Uncomfortable. Okay. I'm going to go for an easy one. Just say horny.
Horny.
Another adjective, Satsu.
Viscous.
I was just about to say, are you going to say viscous? All right. And let's see. One from me. Dusty. And Satsu, I need an animal.
A platypus.
Platypus. Very interesting animal. All right. And now on to chat suggestions. So, a noun. Let's go up the top here and start picking them out because I got like 6 to fill here. Let's see. Deco says bidet. Well, bidet, mate. Let's see. Noun. Cannibals Wizard says Dildo-tipped chainsaws. Oh, plural noun. Okay. Well.
Wait, what?
All right. Well, now I'll put that into one of the plural noun slots since I was.
Okay, hold on for 1 second, please.
Yes.
Because you remember I told you about my visual mind, right?
Yes.
This is one of the few times that my mind had a problem
Oh.
and an error trying to comprehend what they meant by that. So not only did one image of whatever the item is he described showed up, but about 4 in like the course of a second, because I was like, what the fuck would that even look like?
All right. Let's see. What did I see? Cougar Knife says crack house for a noun. Okay, scrolling up. Then if I missed it, your suggestion, guys, just put it in again. I can't promise I'll get it, but I will see what I can do. Peter Silent Katie's 313 says used condom. Boy, I'm kind of gross here, guys. I got to find something like normal. Let's see. Where did I just saw something a second ago. Where'd it go? Count W says zebra. A zebra is indeed
Zebra.
A person, place, zebra. Spud Gun says buffalo. We'll get 2 animals in there, sure. There's always room for more animals. Another noun. Who else had a noun in here? Poker says boob. All right. And finally, 2 plural nouns. 2 plural nouns. Or I can just take one of the nouns and put an S at the end. Brigid says rockets. Rocket Man. And then Angela Ariaga says socks. All right. So here we go. And let me share this because I can do that. And it will be the stock market. Capitalism made easy. This is how I made 1 million dildo-tipped chainsaws in the stock market. It's simple. At the present time, any grumpy investor with a little capital should be able to double his dildo-tipped chainsaws in a few months. All the experts agree that we are nearing the end of the platypus market. Just recently, for instance, the American Bidet and Foundry Company has shown a course trend. Conditions indicate an uncomfortable market for their principal product, automatic rockets. International Telephone and Crack House Company also looks horny. At the end of the last fiscal used condom, they were earning $10 a zebra. Another viscous tip is Consolidated Buffalo. This outfit manufactures and sells electronic socks of a very dusty quality. But whatever you do, act now. Remember, prosperity is just around the boob.
Dude, I don't know how we ended up making that make almost complete sense.
I know, right?
That was almost completely understandable. Holy
I've got
shit.
to, I'm going to clip or crop that one and post that here in a bit.
Dude, that worked way too well.
I know. It's amazing.
Holy fuck. That was good. That was a good one.
That worked out pretty good, yeah. Well, everybody, thank you so much for your contributions to that one. But with that, we're going to move on to question time. So if you have questions, comments, concerns, complaints, conspiracy theories, if you want to berate Satsu for his microphone performance, put in the chat now. If you have questions for us directly, please put plenty of chat marks after those. If you have statements for us to consider, please put plenty of statement marks after those. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, ask your friendly neighborhood chat partner, and they will kindly explain it to you.
Yes, don't forget to mention the viscous tips.
Oh, yes. Demon Hobbit, prosperity around the boob. OnlyFans? That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. Or just strip club. One of the two. Frosted Glass, how about plunger poke for Scribe and wall coder for Satsu for... yeah. Coder of walls. Coder of walls. There you go. Yeah. Plays for food. Satsu coder of walls. There you go. That works. Spud Gun, Satsu 2 cents. Sultanas in curry, yes or no?
Wait, what?
Sultanas in curry, yes or no? Good question.
I'm not sure what Sultanas is.
Oh, he's showing his lack of cooking knowledge or some British thing. Because wasn't the lady's name Sultanas? that we're talking about earlier?
I don't know. I mean, I know what curry is clearly, but
Cougar Knife Scribe, why does it hurt you to hear a black man give his opinion? Oh, that's the worst interpretation of what's going on. Deco, did you guys hear what happened to Steven Crowder? I saw that he was in the hospital. I don't know for what. I don't know if that was revealed. I now just, full transparency. I don't really pay attention to Steven Crowder. I know he exists. I've watched a couple of his videos in the past, but I'm not a Steven Crowder fan. Not because I hate him or something. I just like so many other YouTubers out there. So yeah, I saw a picture of him in the hospital, but unless he's described what it was, has anybody said what's wrong with him? So that's the other question. Let's see. Peter Silent Case 3 do you know if Matt is doing anything to celebrate 100,000 subs? I don't know. I congratulated him privately, but if he's got a plan for something, either he might have posted something on his community tab. I haven't looked recently, so or maybe he tweeted something out and I missed it. So my only suggestion is go subscribe to Matt Orchard, the real Matt Orchard, at the real Matt Orchard. Spud Gun, raisins?
Oh, is that what that is?
Sultanas are raisins. Okay, so raisins in curry?
No.
Ugh.
That don't sound delicious at all.
I mean, admittedly, I'm not a curry aficionado, so maybe there's a curry where it makes sense. But
I don't know, because there are some things that I'll eat that are really spicy that I would be surprised if you just toss something sweet in would taste good, but it did,
Okay.
So maybe I don't know.
Count W is conspiracy theorist a new name for prophet? Does the prophet predict or calculate? So, conspiracy theorist is, one of the more dismissive, condescending and rejoinders you can give to somebody when you're just trying to dismiss what they have to say. And it doesn't necessarily mean what they're saying is untrue. But of course, it also, puts up a lot of questions of it and everything. So somebody says, oh, there's a conspiracy, this, that, and the other. Well, it all depends on how they back it up. Like Bill's dad on the Reddit thing when he says, oh, the communist agent did the shooting at the school. Yeah, that's a conspiracy theorist where you could make that a pejorative. But doesn't mean a prophet. If it meant a prophet, because it's a conspiracy, you have to have at least some kind of theory about it. I guess some kind of theory or proof. Let's see. And then Poker says, Scribe Light, he who ropes the boob. Oh, ties the breast. Scribe Light ties the breast. Mashishu, are you looking forward to John Wick 4 due to come out next year? Truthfully, I haven't seen completely the films after the first one. I saw the first one all the way through. I haven't seen the other ones, the other two yet. Have you seen all the John Wick movies?
I've never seen any of them all the way through.
First one's great. I honestly can't speak as to the second or third one, but the first one's great.
Yeah, and all the memes and stuff. I've never actually hey, I'm going to go watch that.
No, you should. Really sit down with Squishy and watch it sometime. It's great. And conceivably, the other two are good too, but I haven't seen them. So am I looking forward to the fourth one? Not as a super fan, but if it's good and people like it, well, there you go. Frosted Glass, if no pain equals no gain, can Satsu fix his mic by not getting hurt? Har. Is cryptic? Is that you?
I think I fixed the problem. It was because you remember when I first got the mic, we were having this issue. But I downloaded the program and it fixed it.
Yeah.
I did not delete that program. I don't know what the fuck happened, but it was uninstalled on my computer.
Okay. Well, you're fine now. I haven't had a problem since you started, so maybe that was it. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
I guess that was it.
Goody gumdrops. Cougar Knife Satsu, have you seen Biomutant? And if so, do you think you'd be interested in playing it?
I watched a lot of the gameplay and stuff for it, and it I don't know. It usually, rule of thumb for me is if I watch a game long enough and I don't enjoy watching it, I probably won't enjoy playing it.
Yeah, I one of the other channels I watch, Mini a True Nerd, he did a tryout of Biomutant, and he just sort of as you listen to him play through the first stages of it or whatever, you just gradually hear him decline in his enthusiasm for the thing, and it's like it looks pretty, but
Well, that's like I think I watched the first was like 30-minute gameplay they did for it, and even like just into that, I was just like, man, I'm just not interested in anything that's going on here.
Count Oblivion, I know what a conspiracy theorist means, but thanks. No, I wasn't trying to be condescending about it. Just sort of like thinking about a conspiracy theorist. It's a neutral term. It doesn't say one thing or the other about whatever. You have to take each one on its own merits, basically. So yeah, that's all I meant by that. Are they a prophet? Not inherently. Are they wrong? Not inherently. Like I say, one to the other. Well, like Peter says, there's plenty of conspiracy theories that have been turned out to be true. It's silly to believe in all of them, but it's silly to discredit all of them. Yeah. I mean, short of something that like completely lacks any kind of observable evidence, etc. Like it all depends on the argument being made and everything else. I don't. It's one person at a time, if that makes any sense. Poker, thanks so much. Here's a McDouble with only Big Mac sauce. Enjoy. When was the last time I had McDonald's, period? It's been a long time. I don't have fast food that often anymore. Get occasional burger from like Five Guys or something. But
you know what freaked me out the other day?
What's that?
Because I told you I've been actually paying attention to my caloric intake and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Squishy was about to get off work, so I took Aaliyah up to go see her so we can all walk home together or whatever. And I just glanced up at the menu, and I was looking because I've eaten Burger King and fast food a lot.
Yes.
And I was looking at the calories and some of that shit, and that shit fucked me up.
Yeah.
I was just like, holy shit.
Yeah. Once you start paying attention to that stuff, it overwhelms you real quick. Like, what is my actual need of caloric intake during the course of the day, and how much is in this thing? Yeah.
Dude, my caloric allowance right now is like 1,500 a day.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, dude, a meal is like 1,100.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, holy fuck.
Basically,
like one of these burgers is like 800, and I've eaten 3 in a day before.
Yeah. No, basically your meals have to be like glorified snacks.
Oh my God.
That's about it. Yeah. Each meal a day has to be basically just like the smallest portion of whatever it is you want.
I mean, and what I'm finding out is ways to find food that has a low caloric density, where it's like you can eat a lot of this and be full and not,
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I've been trying to, but it was an eye opener, man. I'm like, fuck, dude.
What is it? Celery is one of those foods that takes more energy to burn off than it puts on, kind of thing. Something like that. I forget. I tried to learn how to make celery soup a while back, and that was it's not that bad actually. You get it seasoned right. Let's see. Where did I see the thing and the stuff that somebody said? Bridget, Scribe Light, he who X's the Teds. That's one way of putting it, I suppose.
So do you go and just find Teds and ruin their relationship?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I just find them and then I steal their girlfriends.
You seek out people named Ted and just
yeah. So whoever Ted's dating, I steal his girlfriend and then he becomes a TEDx. But ching.
Oh God.
Let's see. Jim Hewlett says, see, Satsu, people need to rethink food. And he says, let's talk again about food.
Yeah, Jim's been he's been helping me out, trying to get my situation together.
Let's see. Spudgun says, Scribe like Christopher Odd. I don't know who that is, but okay. It was kind of the same with Biomutant. He just kept going because he doesn't like leaving games unfinished. Yeah, that's if I was a game reviewer as a profession. I mean, if my thing was doing full playthroughs of games, obviously, but if I was just like reviewing a game and I wasn't having fun with it an hour or two into it, I wouldn't keep throwing myself against a brick wall. I either you can convince me within the first few rounds of a game that this is something I want to keep playing or get interested in, or you can't. And it's just like, if I can't, I wouldn't waste my time. So, but hey, some people are sort of obsessive like that, and I can understand it.
Yeah, it has to grab me. That's how it is for like anime and stuff too. Like I do the typical rule of thumb is the 3-episode rule, but I've actually pulled it up to 5. Because there was some shows where I'm just like just a little longer, and then it was like okay, here we go.
My rule is generally speaking, my rule is the rule of 2, as it were. I give it 2 episodes. And I can understand the first episode might be the pilot. Things might be a little rough around the edges. But if whatever you're doing doesn't like at least pique my interest by the second time around, I'm kind of like, eh. And that's what happened with me and The Walking Dead. I watched the first 2 episodes of Walking Dead. And after the second episode, I said to myself, everything from this point is going to be nothing but soap opera, because there's nothing they haven't already covered in the zombie realm of storytelling that they're not just either going to have to repeat over and over again, or it's just going to become just a regular sort of like sappy soap opera between the survivors. And I don't know if I was accurate on that, but that was back when it first came out. I watched the first 2 episodes, and I was just kind of like, no, I think I can see where this is going, and I'm not going to enjoy it.
I had a good time with it up until like season 5, I think. And then I think 6, 7, and 8, I was just like, well, we're here now, so let's just keep going. And eventually I was just like, yeah, okay, that's enough.
Let's see. Mr. Tickle Trunk says, I've had really good celery soup. Yeah, I found a recipe and I tried it. This is a couple of years ago. And I recall it being pretty good. Have you ever tried to make celery soup?
No.
Give it a shot.
Yeah, I'll look it up because I've been looking up a bunch of different things.
Yeah, I'm rewatching The Shield right now, and with every episode and the little bits and pieces that have faded from my memory as the years have, it's been years since I watched it. I'm reminded just exactly why I love this show. It's so good. It's like grabbed me from the first episode, didn't let go. Every episode was just another push along in the interest. Like what happens next? What happens next? So yeah, if a show, so my standards are relatively high. If a show doesn't at least, but there's also the other thing of like, is the show going to go on like a limited series like Loki, right? Like Loki was 6 episodes. I'm thinking to myself, okay, it's only 6 episodes, and I'm more curious to see what happens just because of the fact that it's Marvel and everything. So I have been known to continue watching a show that I hated just because I wanted to be able to talk about it and at least say that I watched it all. But that's not always the case. Peter Sanchez, have you guys seen the trailer for the Marvel movie Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings? I have. Although it should be Shang-Chi and the Legend of the 10 Bracelets. Because, I mean, I guess they are technically rings, but they are bracelets. Nothing about the teaser or the trailer so far has got me interested. It just, I don't know, the action feels very weightless. You know, like it's kind of hard because they have to try to outdo things like the Winter Soldier. You know, when you knock things out of the park in the first round, like with Iron Man, Winter Soldier, First Avenger, those are some really high bars to jump with your subsequent movies. And watching Shang-Chi and everything, it's just like, I'm going to have to be convinced to be interested in this because nothing in the trailer really caught me. The humor didn't catch me. What I know of the storyline, it's kind of like, so I'll probably eventually see it, but I'm not going to run out to the theater. Like I went and saw Black Widow. I regret seeing it was a waste of time. I could have watched any of the dozens of review streams or videos that have been put out by some of the movie reviewers on here, and I would have gotten just as much of watching a 15-minute breakdown of what happened as what I witnessed. Because there was that just sort of like meh. So I'm not encouraged to see any Marvel movie, which is a bizarre thing for me to say, but I'm currently not encouraged or looking forward to any Marvel movie short of maybe Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. A, because it's Doctor Strange. B, because Sam Raimi's directing it. But the decisions they made in WandaVision and got all bent out of shape. Well, we can't have Doctor Strange telling her about magic because we can't have some white guy telling a woman what to do. Like, He's the master of the mystic arts, and she just found out that she's a magical being. Why wouldn't you want someone who knows what they're talking about? Anyway, I could go on. Mr. Tickle Trunk says, I wish I could forget Babylon 5 so I could watch it again for the first time. You know, I have a lot of friends who just love Babylon 5, and I watched the first couple seasons in college, and I have no reason to shit on it at all, but for whatever reason, it just never grabbed me as much as it did some of my friends. Sort of like with Firefly. I liked Firefly, but I didn't become a super fan of it, even though I had lots of friends who were like, oh my God, it's the worst crime since, I don't know, the Lindbergh baby or something, that they shut down Firefly. Like, oh, well. So, yeah, I appreciate Babylon 5 because of its tenure, its legacy, and it's obviously the amount of work and plot that went into it, and how everything I hear about is just how, you know, that show was plotted out. Everything matters, just like The Shield. Something's mentioned in the second episode of the second season that pays off 4 seasons down the line if you're paying attention. And also the fact that the guy who created the show, I think, well, I'm sure he wrote a couple episodes, but he wrote at least one episode of The Real Ghostbusters, which is called Collect Call of Cthulhu, which is hilarious if you watch it.
There's a bunch of anime that I've watched where I'm just like, if somebody offered me the ability to forget it so I can watch it again, I'd take it in a heartbeat. Like, yes, please.
Pete says, I agree. It looks like he fights the Abomination from Hulk 2. It looks like Wong fights the Abomination from Hulk 2, not Doctor Strange. But although they gave the Abomination like big finned ears, like from the comic book, thankfully, he didn't have them in the Hulk movie. So that's maybe just a further mutation. Yeah, the Abomination. I'm really wondering if they're going to because there's this whole, with a lot of the characters they're setting up the Young Avengers. With all the side characters they've put into the TV shows and the Hawkeye shows coming up with the Kate Bishop Hawkeye. But they're also with John Walker and U.S. Agent and all that. They're also setting up either the Dark Avengers and or the Thunderbolts. So I'm wondering if they're going to start making, is the Young Avengers going to be like a TV series on Disney Plus, and then the Thunderbolts will be a competing series. There'll be crossover there. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what they do with that. But I'm also wary that they're just going to screw it up like everything else lately. Poker, thank you so very much. Proposing BDSM. How? Asking for a friend. Okay. So if you're in an established relationship and this hasn't come up before, I would be very sort of plain. Like, what do you think about being tied up? That's sort of like the ground level query about things. Or you want to try it.
You got to ease your way into that, you know?
Yeah, unless somebody already has a very well-established sense of themselves or what they like in that area and things, then if you're just like, if it's never come up in your relationship or anything else, but you're curious about it, just be honest about it. I'm curious about trying this out and seeing what happens. And then, and do your research ahead of time, especially if you're going to do whatever it is, even if it's something just very basic like spanking or something that's not even, doesn't even require any equipment or anything.
Don't just whip out no metal handcuffs. Start with cloth.
Yeah, well, actually, so if it's the first time for both you and your partner, yeah, start out slow. And honestly, I make a joke of it on every show, but there's a great book called "Screw the Roses, Send Me the Thorns: The Romance and Sexual Sorcery of Sadomasochism." It is, it's not a new book, but some of these things are sort of timeless. And the advice in there for getting started or how to sort of approach these things with your partner, questionnaires, things to ask yourselves, and so on. It's all in there. But just remember the rules of it all are safe, sane, and consensual. That's it. So as long as you're doing that and taking precautions and going slow. Go ahead.
Squishy's extra careful about that shit too, because I can tell that she's like really, really into it, but she don't put on how much she's into it, because she's just like, I know that that's not really something that you're super into. So she's very kind of stepping on eggshells with it. So she'll be like, hey,
yeah, I mean, part of it is also sort of like, again, it's all about communication and honesty before you do anything at all, and just say. And then there's some great questionnaires out there that can spur on those conversations without you having to do a lot of heavy lifting. Like the two questions I always like are, what scares you that you never want to do, and what scares you that you might want to try? Because there are a lot of things out there that you might be nervous about, but you're curious about. And then there's some hard stops out there, which you'll never cross that line. And you really need to set those boundaries together as a couple before you start moving along. And if it's, but I mean, that gets further down the road. If it's just, you want to try something out or do a little bit of, what, anyway, I don't want to get too explicit for the family show, but.
Yeah, it's family show. Maybe we should bring Squishy on one day for that.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm sure she and I would have a lot to talk about.
Oh, for sure. Cause, she be trying to trick me sometimes.
Okie Native, don't be like the FBI agent who beat up the wife after he took her to a swingers party. Oh, and set up a kidnapping of a sitting governor. I saw that story. Matt Christensen did a rundown of the whole Gretchen Whitmer story as it's evolved, and it is absolutely insane what went on with that story. I don't have time to go over it here, but look up Matt Christensen's channel, and I think it's one of his, if it's not his most recent scripted video, it's one of his most recent scripted video where he goes over the governor kidnapping plot and just how absolutely bananas it is. Absolutely bananas. Setting aside one of the FBI agents involved who, spousal abuse, not a good thing. Don't do it. And if it happens to you, run away as fast as you can. Let's see. Spudgun, what did you think of the Star Trek prequel Enterprise? I thought that it didn't get cooking until like the last season, unfortunately. Save for the episode where the mirror universe thing happens, which was great all by itself as a standalone. It was wonderful. It really didn't start finding its own spot until it was in its last throes towards its end of its run, unfortunately. I think that opinion shared by most passing fans of Star Trek. I watched the whole thing on Netflix years ago, and the one thing I noticed in the early episodes was, I'm pretty sure, at least within a very small span of time, they used the exact same alien planet set on two different episodes for two different planets, and it was so painfully obvious because it's the same like rocky shaft that they were caught down or exploring or whatever. And I was like, they used that exact same shot with that exact same set last episode or two episodes back. It was so jarring. So the first episode made things interesting, but it really, really struggled to find its sort of place. But once it got into that whole war thing in the last season or so, where it really started to pick up steam, and you actually had, the character of Archer having to approach things on a real sort of gray area moral level, it started getting kind of to that Deep Space Nine territory where this is a more interesting take on Star Trek. This is a more Wild West, we haven't established all the rules of how the Federation's supposed to work yet kind of thing. That really started coming to its fore, but so late in the game that it was, I can understand how people would have given up on the series before then. So yeah, that's my take. I'm assuming you've never watched it, Satsu.
No.
Yeah. Genji Maxi, Satsu, I just watched somebody make a brownie with ramen noodles in the middle. I'm not sure how I feel about that, so I thought I should share your thoughts. As a filler?
Yeah, I don't really know how to feel about that either.
Do they make chocolate flavored ramen?
I would imagine you could probably find something like that in Japan, or
Yeah.
Because I've actually seen the ramen selection and places where it comes from, and it's insane. The selection is ridiculous. There's no way to try them all.
Mr. Tickle Trunk, T'Pol in the shower was enough for me. Yeah, Jolene Blaylock, was Enterprise's answer to 7 of 9, obviously. And I mean, if you needed a character that was nice to look at throughout the show, where everybody else was wearing those frumpy uniforms, sure. And that first episode was definitely that was one for the trailer bait. That first one. Remember when TV was like that? Just regular old network television. Actually, speaking of which, I've mentioned this several times. I've been, like I said before, I've been watching Homicide, the old '90s show. Again, without getting into specifics, because I don't think I can get into that on here. The kind of material, subject matter, and language that you could find on a network drama in the 1990s boggles my mind. There is stuff going on that show from 40 years ago now, or whatever the hell it is, that would never, ever be allowed anywhere near a network television show, even a drama today. And it is done with such maturity and such an organic nature. It's not just sort of like lathered on it for like effect or anything. It's part of the story. It's part of the landscape. And it also, like in the one episode I just watched, it's also a time capsule of how much things have changed, because the episode revolves around a character who was killed who was gay, and them having to step around the notion of homosexuality as a lifestyle, because the two characters are kind of standoffish about the whole thing. That was part of the plot. And as I watched that, and it was done, the characters were not cartoon characters portraying that or anything, but just watching that, I thought to myself, this would be a nothing plot line today. Or actually, in fact, the attitudes of the characters would be seen as offensive to the majority of society today, honestly. Even though, like, at the time they were being sort of like standoffish, they were uncertain, that kind of thing. As was, a more common attitude not that long ago. And so again, it was just another instance where watching a show that is so good and dealt with its material so with such care from that far back, it just shows how far things have changed for the better. But at the same time, also how much TV has become so less brave in what material they will actually cover or how they will cover it. So if you guys have never seen the show Homicide: Life on the Street, I can't. Next to The Shield, it's probably one of my favorite TV shows ever. So if you can find an episode or two, or get the series on DVD or something, give it a shot. Give it a few, especially those early episodes. You imagine like some of the stuff going on those shows in those early episodes. It's crazy what kind of stories they were able to tell and how they were able to tell them. It's almost like watching stage plays. Sometimes it's so good. The cast, the cast is so good. So good.
You notice what I didn't do there, Scribe?
What's that?
When you got all excited about your show, I didn't tell you to calm down and relax. I let you be excited about your show.
I'm sorry.
You should be. I was very happy about that show.
Okay. I'll never do it again.
Bet not.
On your nights.
Oh my!
This is my show. You in my house.
I can do what the fuck I want on my
That's
night.
right. That's right. Spudgun Scribe, I think that's fair. It needed 2 to 3 more seasons to really flesh it out. Yeah, they didn't really hit their stride until at that point. It's really a shame. It could have been better, but que sera. Mr. Ticketrunk, they used to present us with information and we're supposed to make up our own minds in the 90s. Today they spoon feed what they want. You think? Yeah. One of the great things about Homicide: Life on the Street, not the actual action, was that a lot of what went on in the shows and plot lines and characters left a lot of ambiguity, which is what real life is like. There are really good characters who, depending on the situation, you could see them as the hero, the bad guy, or you're not sure.
And I really appreciated shows like that growing up, where it was just like, there wasn't like, it wasn't like a position of both sides, like they were blatantly saying, well, both sides are kind of right. It was just here's the situation. This is what these people think. This is what those people think. And then the show itself never explicitly portrayed to you like, this is the side you should go with,
Yeah.
And I love that type of stuff.
Yeah, there was an episode a couple back that I watched where there was a murder. Obviously, a guy was killed in his apartment, and they run around trying to figure out who did it, and they eventually figure out it was his daughter that did it. But his daughter did it because he was an abusive husband and beating up on his wife and her mother. But at the time that she shot him, he was unarmed and on his knees and not a threat. And so, you know, he was shot 3 times. The last time was when he was down, incapacitated, and he was shot in the head. And so you have this thing where the 2 detectives are kind of like, she murdered somebody. This wasn't, maybe you could call self-defense in the first shot, maybe in the second shot. But with that last one, no, she killed the guy. And he was on his knee. And the other person's like, this girl had to live through watching her mother be beaten, etc. So you had that. And by the end of it, it's like, well, she still killed somebody, right? And what happens to it's not often on that show where you see the whole court proceedings and things. It's not like Law and Order. So she still committed the crime. She's still arrested, and her fate will be with, you know, the jury and the judge and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, you know, the circumstances of this, circumstances of that. Can you? It's like, yeah, but you know, she was, so it's sort of like the battered, sort of a battered wife syndrome kind of argument on the end. It's like that last shot was sort of like all of that built up stuff over the years is coming up, and that's why she did it. It was a kind of self defense. And the detective's like, no, that's murder.
Yeah,
and I was like, no, that's but again, murder. Yeah, but then the show doesn't play favorites, you know. Right. It really doesn't. I mean, it has the characters playing different favorites depending how you look at it. But anyway, guys, we're over time. I don't usually go over time, but it sometimes happens. So it's top of the hour, end of the show, guys. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it. Satsu, anything going on tomorrow you want to promote?
No, I will be here tomorrow on my channel, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. And for myself, again, look forward to Thursday with Sinatra Says on TED Excellence at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern for a cavalcade of laughs and analysis and a really funny thumbnail, I promise. Maybe. But with that, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. You guys are the greatest audience in the world. Period. Clap in between. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things, even though everyone here is so well behaved. You have very little to do. Everyone who donated, thank you so much for your generosity. I really do appreciate it. Satsu, thank you for joining me as always.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, your lives make us sad, and we will see you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
And surprisingly enough, taking out my copy of Screw the Roses, Send Me the Thorns, The Romance and Sexual Sorcery of Sadomasochism.
Strangely enough, my
Strangely enough. Well, could be your ass. Well, today's secret word is master.
I don't really take too kindly to you saying it could be your ass and then saying master afterwards. Yeah,
well, in this context, it was like mastering a skill. It was lowercase m.
Huh.
So in the context of the book, it wasn't as you think it was.
I surely hope so.
Well, your hopes are fulfilled.